The biggest 11-game stretch in 80 NBA seasons, New York just lived it. 262-point differential across 11 straight playoff wins. That number is not the largest in playoff history. It is the largest 11-game stretch in any portion of the NBA's 80 seasons, regular season, postseason, every team, every era. 80 years of basketball, every 11-game window ever played. None of them have matched the number the Knicks just put on the board. 6 months ago, every analyst pegged this team as the third best roster in its own conference. The chalkboard is about to explain how they ended up here. Let's start with the number itself. 262-point differential across 11 straight playoff wins. That works out to roughly 24 points per win, sustained every win for 11 straight. The first instinct on a number this big is to discount it. Soft opponents, a blowout or two skewing the average, a hot shooting stretch that will not survive the finals. The leaderboard answers all three. The closest historical comp for an 11-game playoff differential sits more than 20 points below this number. The Showtime Lakers had 11-game stretches, the Jordan Bulls had them, the Warriors at peak had them, none touched 262. 80 seasons matters because it includes the regular season. Every team plays many 11-game windows a year. Across 80 years of basketball, none of them have matched what New York just posted. A single blowout does not move an 11-game average by 20 points. You need every game in the window to come in above the historical mean. 11 for 11. That is not one flashy game. That is a structural ceiling sustained across the entire window. And the lever that produces a sustained 11-game number cannot be hot shooting. Shooting variance regresses across that many games. Hot shooters cool, cold shooters warm. The 11-game average meets the team's true rate. The shot quality has to be structurally easier than what the opponent is allowed to take. The leaderboard tells you which lever to look for. The chalkboard tells you which lever it actually is. If you cannot stack a number like this on variance, what is the actual mechanism? What does the Knicks chalkboard look like when they run their base set? The biggest 11-game stretch in 80 NBA seasons does not happen on shooting variance. It happens because the shot the offense is taking is structurally easier than the shot the defense is allowed to take. The mechanism has a name, the 5 out, and KAT is the 5. Here is what that looks like on the chalkboard. All 5 Knicks stand outside the three-point arc on the strong side. Karl-Anthony Towns, a 7-footer who shoots from 26 feet, is one of those 5. He stands at the top of the key. The opposing rim protector now has a choice. Choice 1, follow KAT above the break. The paint is empty. There is no help defender at the rim, no shot blocker at the dunker spot, no second body to tag the roll. Brunson and Bridges drive into a basket nobody is guarding. Choice 2, sit in the paint, seed the open 3 to a 7-footer who has built his career on it. There is no correct answer. The Knicks ran this scheme for 11 straight playoff games. Their offensive rating across the run was 123.3. That is the highest intraconference offensive rating any Eastern Conference champion has posted since 2003. The Spoelstra Heat, the Lou Cavaliers, the Budenholzer Bucks with Giannis, none of them broke 123.3 across a playoff run. The Knicks just did, when defenses tighten in the postseason, not loosen. The 5 out is not new. What is new is the combination. KAT's pull above the break, Brunson's burst into the cleared paint, Bridges' weak side gravity. The chalkboard says no East team has had this exact answer since 2003. The scheme gives New York the easy shot. The question that opens is who specifically walks into that paint when the differential compounds, because the operator has a record of his own. Jalen Brunson, across the same 9-game window, plus 186. That is the best 9-game plus-minus in NBA postseason history. Plus-minus across 9 games is not a small sample. It is a 400-possession window. At that volume, the noise floor collapses. Plus 186 means the Knicks outscored opponents by an average of more than 20 points per game in his minutes for 9 consecutive games against the kind of competent defensive teams the East bracket had to offer. The number does not stand alone. It stacks on top of the 5 out lever. The scheme empties the paint. Brunson is the player walking into it. The lever creates the lane. The operator is the lane's best user. Look at the profile across those 9 games. Usage rate in the high 30s. True shooting north of 60. The volume of an MVP candidate. The efficiency of a top-shelf scorer. In the highest leverage minutes of the postseason. The closest historical comp for a 9-game playoff plus-minus stretch sits well below plus 186. That is not a noisy stat at that sample, that is structural. And this is where the steel man gets its day. The skeptic says plus-minus is opponent-dependent. 9 games is small, the East bracket cleared. The Spurs in the finals will collapse the run because Victor Wembanyama is the one rim protector in the league who can guard Cat above the break and still recover to the rim. That argument is the verdict's job. For now, the chalkboard shows what is in front of us. Across the best 9-game plus-minus stretch ever recorded in NBA postseason play, Brunson was driving into a paint that the 5-out had already vacated. 2 levers, same chalkboard. The third one is about to argue with itself. So here is the question the chalkboard is forcing. Is the 11-game record real, or is it the product of a bracket that cleared and a defensive plan that will not survive Victor Wembanyama? The honest steelman, and we have to take it seriously, sounds like this. Plus-minus is opponent-dependent. The East bracket fell apart. KAT's 5-out works because no East rim protector can guard him at the level and recover in time. Wembanyama is the one player in the league built to do exactly that. The Spurs collapse the scheme in the finals because Wemby stays home, the paint stops being empty, Brunson's drives meet a 7'4" rim protector, and the offensive rating regresses 30 points. On its own terms, the argument is reasonable. The problem is what it asks you to bet on. It asks you to bet that one player, even the best of his generation, can be the answer to an architecture that nothing in 80 NBA seasons has matched. The chalkboard has 2 responses. First, even if Wembanyama stays home on KT, the scheme still has 2 answers. KT shoots the open 3 when the rim protector sags, or KT puts the ball on the floor against a non-center closing out. Both shots are positive expected value at his career rates. The 5-out does not need an empty paint to work. It needs a defensive impossibility, and it gets one whether the rim protector commits or stays. Second, the number was built across an entire 11-game window, not one round, not one matchup. 11 games, the intraconference offensive rating across the stretch was 123.3. That is higher than any East champion has posted since 2003. The Steelman's argument is that San Antonio will do in 7 games what 0 East teams managed to do across 11. Maybe, but maybe Wembanyama is the exception to a pattern that has held since 2003 is not a counter-argument. That is a wish. So here is the verdict. The chalkboard says it cold. Lever 1, 5-out spacing with KAT, pulls the rim protector above the break, empties the paint. Lever 2, 123.3 offensive rating, highest intraconference mark by any East champion since 2003. The shot quality is structural, not lucky. Lever 3, Brunson's plus 186 across 9 games, the best 9-game plus-minus run ever recorded in NBA postseason play. The operator matches the architecture. 3 levers, 11 wins, plus 262 points. Nothing in 80 years of basketball has matched the number. The finals get one chance to prove the chalkboard wrong. NBA Finals Game 1 is in San Antonio on Wednesday. Victor Wembanyama is the one player built to collapse the 5-out scheme. If he does, if Cat's pull stops vacating the paint and Brunson's drives meet a 7'4" rim protector, the 11-game record turns into a footnote. If he does not, New York wins this series, and the chalkboard wins the argument. The answer arrives in 48 hours. Until then,